He said this would be his last World Cup. He said it before the match. In front of the cameras. To every reporter who asked. And then he walked out onto the pitch in Dallas and tried one final time to change the story. He could not. Mikel Merino. 91st minute. 1 goal. Spain 1, Portugal 0. And just like that, Cristiano Ronaldo's World Cup career was over. The man wiped tears from his eyes as the final whistle blew. He applauded the fans in the stands. His teammates stood around him not knowing what to say. And the greatest goal scorer in the history of international football walked off a World Cup pitch for the very last time without the one trophy that always escaped him. This is the end of an era. And today on Robert's Football Talk we are going to give it the tribute it deserves. Welcome back. I am your host, and if you are new here, subscribe right now because today we are breaking down everything. The match. The numbers. The controversy around Martinez. The Yamal moment. And the honest truth about what Ronaldo's 6 World Cup campaigns actually mean for his legacy. Let us go. Part 1. The match that ended everything. AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas. Round of 16. Portugal versus Spain. The Iberian Derby. One of the great rivalries in European football. And a match that carried more emotional weight than almost any other at this tournament because everyone watching knew what was at stake for Ronaldo personally. Site index equals 27-1. Spain's Mikel Merino scored the only goal of the game in the first minute of second-half stoppage time to send Spain to the quarterfinals at the expense of their Iberian Peninsula rivals. Site 90 minutes of tension. 90 minutes of Portugal trying to find the breakthrough. 90 minutes of Ronaldo chasing a moment that never came. And then in the first minute of stoppage time, substitute Ferran Torres played in Merino, who finished low past Diogo Costa. Spain 1, Portugal 0. Done. Site index equals 29-1. A tight, nervous match looked to be heading for extra time until 2 Spain substitutes combined for the game's only goal. Site, the cruelty of it. Portugal within seconds of extra time. Within seconds of another chance. And then 2 substitutes, players who had not started, combined to end it. The numbers tell a damning story. Site index equals 29-1. Portugal ultimately generated just 0.58 expected goals from 10 shot attempts. Site, half a goal of quality from 10 attempts across 90 minutes. Against Spain, who had not conceded a single goal in the entire tournament. That is the tactical failure of Portugal in this match summarized in one number. And Ronaldo. Site index equals 29-1. In what he revealed was his final World Cup match, Ronaldo managed only 19 total touches. 12 in the first half, the fewest he has ever had in the first half of a World Cup match, and only 7 in the second, none after the 80th minute. Site 19 touches. In 90 minutes. That is not a leading player. That is a player who the opposition had completely neutralized. Who the game had passed by. Who at 41 years old simply could not impose himself on a match that required everything he once had. He had his moments. Site index equals 29-1. Ronaldo saw an effort palmed away by Unai Simon, and Simon denied Ronaldo again before halftime. Site 2 saves from Spain's goalkeeper. He was trying. He was always trying. But trying and delivering are 2 different things at a World Cup round of 16. Now before we go further, I want to ask you something. Ronaldo said this was his last World Cup before the match. Knowing that, did it change how you watched him against Spain? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because I think a lot of people watched that match differently knowing what was coming. Part 2. The Yamal moment. 2 generations on the same pitch. Here is the image that will define this match in football history. Not the goal. Not the result. But a moment before the final whistle when Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo stood next to each other on the pitch. Yamal is 18 years old. He watched the last World Cup in a classroom. He was born in 2007. Cristiano Ronaldo made his professional debut in 2002. When Ronaldo scored his first Champions League goal, Yamal was a toddler who could barely walk. And there they were. The same pitch. The same tournament. One of them at the very beginning of what could be the greatest career football has ever seen. The other at the very end of one of the greatest careers football has already seen. Site index equals 23-1. Lamine Yamal interacts with Cristiano Ronaldo after the FIFA World Cup 2026 round of 16 match. Site, whatever was said between them in those seconds, whatever Ronaldo told the kid who is about to inherit the world he helped build, is a private conversation between two generations of football that the cameras captured but could not fully explain. Yamal against Portugal was brilliant. His movement. His directness. His ability to receive the ball in tight spaces and immediately create danger. At 18 years old on the biggest stage in the sport, he was completely unafraid. He was the most dangerous player on the pitch. Not Ronaldo. Yamal. That is not a criticism of what Ronaldo was. That is an acknowledgement of what football is doing right now. Passing the torch. Moving forward. The next chapter beginning as the previous one closes. Ronaldo applauded the fans. He wiped his tears. And somewhere in that interaction with Yamal, the old world and the new world touched briefly and moved on in different directions. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now because we are about to get into the controversy that ended Ronaldo's World Cup career. Because this farewell was not just beautiful. It was painful. And some of that pain was avoidable. Part 3. The Martinez problem. The controversy that defined Portugal's tournament. Site index equals 29-1. Martinez's refusal to acknowledge that Ronaldo was not at his best both forced Portugal to play a tougher round of 16 match and got them eliminated from it. Site, that sentence from ESPN says everything about the debate surrounding Roberto Martinez and his management of this Portugal squad throughout the 2026 World Cup. Let me lay out the facts clearly. Portugal drew with DR Congo in Game 1. A result that meant they finished second in the group. Finishing second in the group meant they faced Spain in the round of 16 instead of a more favorable opponent. If Portugal had won the DR Congo match and finished first in the group, they would not have faced Spain until potentially the quarterfinals. Why did they draw with DR Congo? Multiple reasons. But the central tactical question that analysts have been asking throughout this tournament is whether Martinez's insistence on building everything around Ronaldo, protecting his place in the team regardless of form, cost Portugal results they needed. Site index equals 29-1. In 4 matches against teams that actually reached the knockout rounds, he scored only a penalty against Croatia. Site, against the genuine competition at this World Cup, DR Congo, Colombia, Croatia, Spain, Ronaldo scored 1 goal. A penalty. Site index equals 23-1. Portugal head coach Roberto Martinez made a controversial lineup change to bring in João Felix at left wing for Rafael Leo, who was the game changer against Croatia. Site, he dropped the player who had been Portugal's most effective performer in the knockout round in favor of a different selection. And Portugal generated 0.58 xG from 10 shots. Site index equals 29-1. Martinez elected to keep Ronaldo's backup Goncalo Ramos on the bench despite Ramos' late heroics against Croatia. When you are a team and you need a goal, you cannot take Cristiano Ronaldo off, Martinez said. Site, cannot take him off. At 19 touches. With the match goalless in the final minutes. With a substitute available who had already scored important goals in this tournament. Martinez could not take Ronaldo off because the emotional and symbolic weight of doing so was too heavy. And that sentiment cost Portugal the match. This is not about disrespecting Ronaldo. It is about the reality of managing a 41-year-old player at the highest level of the sport. The body changes. The involvement changes. The ability to dominate matches changes. Martinez had options. He chose loyalty over pragmatism. And Portugal are out. Now let me ask you this. Should Martinez have taken Ronaldo off and sent on Ramos when the match was still goalless? Drop your verdict in the comments. This is the most argued tactical decision of Portugal's entire tournament and I want to hear both sides. Part 4. The tears. Clear conscience. One final goodbye. Site index equals 27-1. An emotional Cristiano Ronaldo said he had a clear conscience as he exited his final World Cup. Following the final whistle, a visibly emotional Ronaldo wiped tears from his eyes as he applauded the fans at Dallas Stadium. Site clear conscience. Those are the words of a man who knows he gave everything. Who knows that at 41 years old, in a sixth World Cup, carrying the weight of a nation, he left nothing on that pitch. Clear conscience means I tried. I competed. I showed up. Site index equals 27-1. I have given my all. I have won 3 titles with Portugal. The 2016 Euros title is on the same level as a World Cup, he said. Site, that last line. The 2016 Euros on the same level as a World Cup. You can hear the hurt in it. The attempt to reframe the missing trophy. To find meaning and value in what he did win. The European Championship in 2016 was extraordinary. Portugal beating France in the final. Ronaldo injured in the first half, hobbling on the sideline, coaching and crying and celebrating when they won. That was a great night. A historic night. But it is not the World Cup. And Ronaldo knows that better than anyone. Site index equals 27-1. The 41-year-old's World Cup career ends with 27 appearances, the second most behind Argentina's Lionel Messi's 30, but without the one major trophy missing from his collection. Site 27 World Cup appearances across 6 tournaments. The second most in the history of the tournament. More than any other European player. More than Zidane, more than Beckham, more than Xavi, more than Iniesta. Only Messi has more. And it ended in Dallas, Texas, with 19 touches in 90 minutes and a late goal from a substitute. Site index equals 27-1. He scored 11 goals in World Cup play, tied for 9th on the career list. He is the all-time leader in international goals with 146 and appearances with 233. Site 146 international goals. Nobody in the history of football has scored more for their country. Not Messi. Not Pelé. Not anyone. That record will stand for decades. Possibly forever. But the World Cup. The only stage where the comparison with Messi runs entirely one way. Messi 20 goals at this tournament alone. Ronaldo 11 across 6 tournaments. Messi a World Cup winner. Ronaldo not. These are not opinions. These are facts that will never change. Part 5. The legacy question. What does 6 World Cups actually mean? Let me be honest with every Ronaldo fan watching this video. Because you deserve honesty more than you deserve comfort. Cristiano Ronaldo is one of the 2 greatest footballers who have ever lived. Everything he has achieved at club level is extraordinary. 5 Champions Leagues. 5 Ballon d'Ors. Titles in England, Spain, and Italy. 900 career goals. Records that no one will touch for generations. But the World Cup was always the conversation he could never fully win. 6 tournaments. 6 chances to hold the trophy. 6 times it did not happen. 2006 was his best chance. Portugal reached the semi-final. Ronaldo was 21 years old. Germany beat them and France beat Germany in the final. A different draw and Portugal could have gone all the way. 2010, 2014, 2018, 2022, 2026. Each tournament a new chapter. Each chapter ending before the final. Each ending adding to the narrative that the one thing Messi has that Ronaldo does not is the thing that matters most on the biggest stage. Site index equals 27-1. He helped Portugal win the European Championship in 2016 as well as 2 UEFA Nations League titles, but the World Cup remained an elusive prize. The deepest Ronaldo ever made it in the World Cup was a semi-final run in 2006, his debut in the tournament. Site, his debut was his deepest run. He was at his youngest and came closest. And in every tournament since, he came no further. That is the cruel mathematics of Ronaldo and the World Cup. But here is what I want to say to every person who loves Cristiano Ronaldo. The legacy is not only about what you win. It is also about what you are. And what Ronaldo has been across 23 years of professional football is something the sport has never seen before and will almost certainly never see again. The dedication. The professionalism. The body at 41 still capable of competing at a World Cup when almost every other player who has ever lived retired a decade before they got there. The 6 appearances. The 146 international goals. The records. The sheer refusal to accept that it was over when everyone else said it was. At 37 he was written off. He came back. At 39 he was questioned. He came back. At 41 he was here. In Dallas. Trying one last time. Generating 2 saves from Spain's goalkeeper. Giving everything he had left. Site index equals 27-1. Ronaldo's finale on soccer's biggest stage came 8 years after he recorded a World Cup hat-trick at age 33. That was in a 3-3 draw with Spain in a group stage opener considered one of the tournament's best matches. Site, his greatest World Cup performance against the same opponent that ended his final one. Spain in 2018. 3 goals in 1 match. A performance that had the entire world on their feet. And Spain in 2026. 19 touches. 0 goals. 1 final tear on the final whistle. That is the arc of Cristiano Ronaldo and the World Cup. Extraordinary highs and a final chapter that the body could not fully honor. But a chapter that the heart absolutely did. Subscribe to Robert's Football Talk right now and share this video because we are about to close with the moment that this script is really about. Part 6. The image that lasts forever. Lamine Yamal and Cristiano Ronaldo. Young and old. Beginning and end. The 18-year-old who has everything in front of him and the 41-year-old who gave everything behind him. They stood on the same pitch in Dallas. They exchanged words that nobody else heard. And then they walked in different directions. Yamal goes to the quarterfinals. To potentially the semifinal. To potentially the final. To potentially a World Cup winner's medal at 18 years old in his first tournament. Ronaldo goes home. To Santos. To whatever the next chapter of his life looks like without a Brazil yellow shirt but also without a Portugal yellow shirt. To a career that produced everything the game could offer except the one trophy that mattered most. The image of those 2 men standing together on that pitch is the most important image of this World Cup. Because it tells you something true about football and about time. Nobody stays forever. The greatest players leave. And the new ones arrive. And the game keeps going. And the records get broken. And the standard gets raised again. Yamal will break records that Ronaldo set. Some of them he will smash completely. And somewhere, Cristiano Ronaldo will watch and feel something complicated. Pride maybe. Inevitability. The knowledge that he was part of building the standard that the next generation now has to meet. He said he had a clear conscience. He wiped the tears. He applauded the fans. He gave us 23 years of the most extraordinary football any individual has ever produced. He gave us 146 international goals. He gave us 6 World Cups worth of refusing to give up. He gave us the hat-trick against Spain in 2018 that made the entire world gasp. He did not give us a World Cup trophy. And that will always be the footnote at the end of the most remarkable individual career the sport has ever produced. I tried. Neymar said it last night. Ronaldo showed it tonight. Sometimes trying everything is still not enough. And sometimes that is the most human and the most honest story sport can tell. That is the full breakdown. Portugal eliminated. Ronaldo's World Cup career over. Yamal and the new generation moving forward. Martinez's controversial management questioned. And a legacy that despite everything will never be fully completed. What is your final verdict? Does the missing World Cup trophy change how you view Ronaldo's legacy? Or does 146 international goals and everything else he achieved make the World Cup irrelevant? Drop everything in the comments right now. I read every single one. This has been Robert's Football Talk. Hit that like button. Share this video with every football fan you know. Subscribe if you are not already part of this channel. New videos every single week, and this World Cup keeps writing history every single day. I will see you in the next one.